Poorly designed dashboards can reduce user engagement by up to 60%. Let's think about that for a second. If you've ever logged into a dashboard and felt completely lost, you're not alone. Bad dashboard design disrupts decision making and leaves users frustrated. In this video, I'll walk you through the most common mistakes startups make when designing dashboards. Then I'll show you how you can create seamless, user-friendly dashboards that deliver powerful insights at a glance. Let's do it.
All right, let's hop right in. So, common dashboard mistakes. Number 1, no focal point. Have you ever visited a dashboard and you're unclear about what it is you're supposed to be looking at or what actions you're supposed to take because it's not clear? Well, that's what we're talking about, right? No focal point. When dashboards try to do too much, they end up overwhelming their users. Remember, less is more. Number 2, irrelevant information. Now, you always want to prioritize information that directly supports a user's decision-making process, right? You want to gently guide their eyes to something to take an action, right? And what you want to do is remove elements that do not add value or context to your dashboard layout. All right. So number 2, remove the removal of irrelevant information. Just ensure that you only show key details of your dashboard, all right, on your dashboard. Number 3, disjointed hierarchy. Now, a disjointed hierarchy makes it very hard for users to find what they need quickly, right? So you want to ensure that your dashboard has a clear structure. Use visual clues like the size of text, colors, and just in general, find a way to guide users' attention to key actions, like what you want them to do on the dashboard. All right, so that may be in the form of a button or a checkbox or some other input. All right. And finally, colors. Using too much colors can confuse users, so you want to stick to a consistent color scheme, and don't use too much. There are lots of resources online that you can use to generate palettes. I'll leave a few below in the description. All right. Now here's a tip. In UI design, I like to tell my students, my teammates, especially when they're new and they're starting out, they should follow the 70-20-10 rule. All right. So for the 70% of the design, you want to ensure that you use the lightest color. And for 20% of the design, you want to ensure you use the second lightest color. And then for that last 10%, you want to use the boldest of colors. All right. So just remember that tip or that rule. 70% for the lightest color, 20% for the second lightest color, and 10% for those bright colors. All right. Moving on here, we have a client case study, a dashboard here for a client called Founder. And essentially what it is, it's a platform that connects Black founders with opportunities and resources to grow their startup. Now, at first glance, just looking at the dashboard, what seems to be the focal point here? Can you guess? I'll just tell you. It's this, the sidebar nav. Now, why would I need to apply so much focus to this one element? All right, so that's a bit off, right? It's dark. It's the first thing I see. It just grabs my attention and I don't like it. Now, this seems to be a bit more important, right? So it tells me, how much funds I've actually raised, the views, the top categories. I also see a section where I can find people and find services. And then on the right side, I can see members in my team, I can see the key activities and the files. Now, we're going to redesign this dashboard, right? We're going to spice it up. Right now, it's lame and it's boring, and I just want to log out. That's what dashboards like this make me want to do. Just log right out. Now, when I am redesigning user interfaces, I like to start with wireframing, right? I use my iPad and a pencil, and I'm just here. But I love creating high detailed wireframes, right? Very well detailed wireframes. And the reason and the benefits the benefit of creating a highly detailed wireframe is so that I can easily create or generate the hi-fi markups from that that really detailed wireframe. I'll show you in a bit. All right. So looking at this dashboard, I really want to get rid of this sidebar. So I've already designed it out so we can quickly see the difference that icons and colors and the type makes in the visual, all of the aesthetics of a dashboard, right? So let's start with the sidebar. Now, the first thing I would do is get rid of that dark brown, right? That should not be there. I'm going to use a lighter color. I don't really like the icons. I would prefer more modern icons. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to change the state to wireframe. See, doesn't that look lovely? Now, the design of this sidebar is a bit minimalistic, modern. My own take on, especially like menus for sure, I have my own preference in terms of where I put the account, the avatar. I like it down here. Sometimes I put it in the top right, but for this example, I put it down here. All right, so we have the home, we have the projects, and in development, what I would usually do is this sidebar on its own doesn't really help the user to understand what each one of these links are supposed to do, right? So I wouldn't recommend doing this, right? If you're going to use a very minimalistic sidebar like this, what you should do is ensure that on hover or something, the entire menu comes out where you can see what each menu icon is related to. All right, great. Moving on, the header. I'm not sure that we're still using, well, no, I'm just kidding. I'm definitely sure that we don't use italics for headers, right? And I can see here that it's some state where it's active, like it's telling us that the project is active. And then we have a very lightly colored link here, right? That says switch project. That would most likely allow us to switch the project, right? So that we could see the overview for another one. And then we have the search icon over here. Now, let's see what this would look like if we were to, refine it, clean it up a bit. All right, great. So what did we do that was different? We added the page title, all right, so that the user knows that is the overview page. We added a little icon, a symbol. So whenever you see circles, what I like to do is when I'm wireframing, I use shapes, usually circles, to illustrate a placeholder for an icon or some kind of status symbol. And in this case, it's a status symbol, right? That will show that the project is active, right? That replaces the text active that you saw in the previous layout. And then we have a chevron or arrow, down arrow here to suggest that you can click on this and it's like a drop down, and when you open it you can select another project. And then we have a search bar, a search input over here on the right that would quickly allow a user to search for any related or relevant information related to this project. Now, moving on here, we have a bit of data visualization here. You see that italics are being used again for the number values. No, don't do that. What I would do is, and they have a lot of like the key things here already, right? Where they have the labels of the card, which tells you what the data you're looking at is. So it says funds, so you kind of have an idea. Okay, we're looking at money, then views, and then a number. So all right, views. So 9.3K persons viewed my project, and then we have the goal here with the progress bar, as well as a bit more specific number on where, like, this is where we are, right? And it shows us the percentage value as well. And then the top categories of persons that have viewed this project. All right. So far, the information here is relevant. It makes sense, but the design, it's not meshing. All right. So let's see what a refined version of this would look like. And bam. Oof, Jesus. Finding people. Just looking at this section, it seems like, you know, this is like listing, some sort of like listing element where I should be able to click on it and then view information on the person, right? Now, what I don't like about this layout is that I don't see any pictures. It looks like a table. Tables are boring unless they're filled with really useful information, but that's what tables are for, right? But this one is very boring. What I would do is, and those buttons, like you see the straight edges, and the text seems to be the button label seems to be a bit big for the button, and there's not enough padding, so we're gonna fix that in a bit. Now, what I would do to clean up this section is add more of like I would structure, for example, the name, specialty. I'd kind of create like a card component, ensure that a picture can be used so that I can actually see the person. As people, we tend to trust people with pretty faces are people with a face, and right now we don't have any faces, so we don't know who this John Fiker is. All right, so let's see what that will look like if we refine this section. Bam. Okay, looking good. So what did we do? We made the heading bigger, but we added some kind of action here, maybe a link or a button, view all. That would probably take us to another page when we click on it. And then, you know, elements are placeholders here for icons. We have a placeholder for the image. We ensure that the name of the person is visible, and you can see the hierarchy taking place here, right? So we see here the title of the section, and then our eyes slowly, take us down here to the picture. Then we see the names, because we read left to right. So we see the name, the specialization, the years of experience, and then if you're still following that track where you're going down, you can see the amount of years that they have, years of experience they have in that particular field. All right, and then we have more card components over here. Great, that looks good. Finding services. It's the exact same thing as the finding people section. However, I don't think a picture of a person here makes the most sense. It's not relevant to this section. What I would do is use an icon to kind of help illustrate what, or to help illustrate what this section or the service category is. So if it's web design, I'll use an icon related to web design. All right, and then we have the action buttons here and what's not. Ew, gross. All right, so let's clean this up. Let's see what it will look like. Boom. Great. We made the heading bigger. we added an action item here. So like a link that would suggest that if we were to click on it, it would open up a listens page where we can see more services, right? All of them, where we could filter and do whatever. You see here, we put them in like smaller, we put the service names and the text into smaller cards. And then we kind of give it like a count so that the user can see how many listens are within that one category. Looking good, looking good. All right, things are shaping up. Now, up here in this top nav area, we see that, you know, they have a few links, my account, settings, help, and some actions to take. And I'm guessing, like, if you were to click on this, you would see stuff like add a team member, add a key activity, or upload a file or something. You see, with the help of this sidebar, we would have moved help in settings over here, and then the avatar, when you click on it, the profile picture, it would show us a sub menu of the whatever sublinks are nested within there that, you know, we can click on and take some further action. If I were to clean this up, I would remove the links because they are already over there in the sidebar, and I would just add a title and maybe write an add button or something that the user could click on to allow them to, you know, add anything in this section over here. So let's see what that will look like. Voila, we have a heading and placeholders for some icons, and we'll have to see what goes in here. Moving on to the team section. All right, so it looks like they've listed persons who are on the team for this project, and I guess you can edit them, and then it gives you the count of the amount of team members that are here. What I would do with this section is probably, I'll use like a progress bar to highlight this. I use a progress bar with this number, and then I'd let the team heading plus the plus icon, you know, stand out a bit more. And I change the layout of this list. You know, it's kind of like overkill for this. So let's see what that will look like. All right, there we go. So with this new layout, we can see that the heading has some space to breathe. We can see that it's team. We see the icon placeholders, and we see these these stacked avatar components. So awesome. Love to see these, as well as like a message and then the progress bar. And I'm sure that the team count will go here, right? Now, moving on to the key activities. This section is pretty simple. Just off the bat, looking at it, it's essentially a checklist, right? Checklist filled with tasks. Once it's done, you check it off and you're good to go. All right. And it gives you like, it looks like it shows you a status here, completed. And then if it's not completed, it shows you the amount of days that are left to complete them. All right. So these are your key activities. Pretty straightforward. We can clean this up a bit. Let's see what that will look like. And boom. It looks pretty much the same with the exception of the assignment of a teammate or a team member to the key activity. So before we didn't have that, we just had the check boxes and then the activity name. But now it makes it a bit more clearer, and it gives us more context, more detail on who is supposed to carry out these tasks for this project. Great, that looks good. Now, files, pretty straightforward again. It looks as if you can add files by clicking on the plus button, and it gives you, when you do that, when it's uploaded, it shows you the file name, tells you who it was uploaded by, and then it also denotes the date. It sets a timestamp, right? So this one would have been uploaded on Wednesday 23rd, 24. All right, now let's refine this. What do you think this will look like? Bam. So not much has changed. You notice here that we added some more spacing between the name of the files and then the subtext under that, and we kind of like, and we did the same thing for the date as well, right? And we added some icon placeholders over there. Before we move on to the hi-fi marks, let's kind of clean up the positioning of some of these elements. All right, we want to ensure that there is equal spacing between everything and that it's all spaced quite nicely. All right. Yes, we use columns to ensure that everything is aligned correctly. You didn't know? Well, now you know. The shortcut for that is Command G, by the way. Yeah, if you didn't know. Now, okay, it looks good. Actually, these are a bit too dark, right? So we have a style here for borders. There we go, much better. Oof, it's coming to life, guys. All right, so let's add some color and clean up the fonts for this dashboard. All right, we're on the final stretch. Let's start with our sidebar. Let's see what this would look like with color, right, in the final stage. All right, so we added the color to the logo. We used the darker version of the brown, and dual-tone logos to make it pop. Yep. And then moving on to the header, we just add the name, the colors, and ensure that the contrast with the search input makes sense, right? So here we have it. And you can tell that this brown is essentially our primary color. The color palette is in here, but you be sure to look at it in the link. You'll see, I'll leave a link to this entire Figma file so that you can go through it on your own and play around with it. All right. Now, earlier in this video, I mentioned a focal point. If there's anything that a user or the member of the team, in my opinion, would want to look at when they visit this dashboard, is the money. How much money have we raised for this project? As soon as I log in, I want to see it big and broad right there. I want my eyes to be drawn to it. How do we do that? We add some color. So let's add some color. Boom. Ooh. We added some color. So you see our font in play here, our different colors, and it looks good. That's it. You see we added in some icons that are relative to the information that we're viewing. So for example, funds, we have an icon with a money icon with the arrow pointing down, kind of depicts money going into something, right? And then we have views, we have the eye icon here. Quite scary if you ask me, but yeah. Moving on to the finding people section. Let's turn that into the final phase. Ooh, isn't she pretty? Don't tell the hero. We have our John V here, so it's no longer a name. That's great. All right, we have Anna. We see that by just glancing quickly that the years of experience is stand out, right? So this is the 10% that I'm talking about in terms of like that. The 70-20-10 rule. You see, we've only used it in a few spots here to depict the status, here to show where we are with our goal for the icon backgrounds, and then to highlight the number of years that these persons have, right, in experience. So this top part here where the icons are, we swap them around. We have a view all button that would essentially take you to another screen where you would see all of the listings. This symbolizes or indicates that we can slide. This is a slider, right? That there are a number of listings here that you can preview. And if you were to click on any one of these, a profile or something would open up, right? That's what we would expect, right? Moving on to the find services section. All right. In the final phase, it looks like this. We added some color to the cards, a contrast to the icon background so that the icons pop, right? They're popping. And we, use a different color for the count, so that kind of stands out as well. And you see here, we removed the slider, the icon component, because it wasn't relevant to this section. The button does the trick, and so there we have it. Let's turn our attention up here to this section, My Hub. Let's see what this will look like in the final phase. One icon, simple. One button, one action that they can take. Your users will thank you. So you click on it, and something, most likely how I would do it, right? Something would drop down. You can add a new team member, a key activity, or add a file. Simple. Love it. Mwah. The team section. Let's convert this to the final stage. You see that? You see the stacked avatars? So in the wireframe version, we didn't have the border on it to divvy up, to divide the avatars, but we see it here. And we also see that, this kind of like this last one, I'm guessing like the last avatar component would allow you to, add a new team member from there as well. The text, we show that this is the Giga's Cloud Security team. And in this team, we have 4 out of 5 members, right? For key activities, let's convert that to the final phase. You see here, we have the plus icon. This section, we can, by clicking on them, you can quickly add a key activity here, or you can edit this list, right? We have 2 different types of elements, right? We have one in its 2 different states. We have one in its completed state, and then we have one that has not been completed. Now, tip here, guys, whenever I'm designing stuff, and you probably should do that too, you're not designing in isolation. For me, and what we do here at Thoughtful, we design to help our engineers, right? So what I like to do is show them multiple states of what things will look like. So even before that project board is set up with the specific tasks, they have an idea of what they should be thinking about on the technical end when building out something like this. Moving on to the file section, let's see what that will look like in its final form. And voila, not much change besides adding actual names and dates. And you see here that everything follows a hierarchy where the text, the heading is bigger, and then you have the title or the labels of whatever the element is. It's a heavier weight, and then you have the subtext, which is a lighter weight and a lighter color. All right, so there we have it. We took founder from Lamo and I want to log out to, I love using your application, by avoiding these 4 common dashboard mistakes. 1, we defined a focal point, right? 2, we removed any irrelevant information. 3, we defined a clear hierarchy using color and text. And finally, we used colors wisely.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on so you never miss an update. If you're a founder looking to prototype and test your startup ideas quickly, we have a very special gift for you. Use a promo code FOUNDER to access our Startup UI Kit in the link below. It's packed with fully designed and coded components, perfect for rapid prototyping and market testing. See you in the next video.